had loved her madly. Why does one love? Why does one love? How queer it is to see only one being in the world, to have only one thought in one's mind, only one desire in the heart, and only one name on the lips. A name which comes up continually, rising like the water in a spring, from the depths of the soul to the lips. A name which one repeats over and over again, which one whispers ceaselessly everywhere, like a prayer. I am going to tell you our story, for love only has one, which is always the same. I met her and loved her, that is all. And for many years I have lived on her tenderness, on her caresses, in her arms, in her dresses, on her words, so completely wrapped up, bound and absorbed in everything which came from her, that I no longer cared whether it was day or night, or whether I was dead or alive on this old earth of ours.
Rest in peace, my friend.
From dust we come, to dust we return. I wouldn't return to the cemetery if I was you.
What are you talking about?
At the end, we become what we fear.
Do you like my dress?
Was It a Dream is a story centralizing around Jax and his relationship with his recently deceased lover Yolanda. Through the story, we understand that Yolanda deceived Jax. With the use of dramatic irony, this shapes the whole story and adds drama to both the narrative and his character. Giving Jax an internal struggle allows the audience to get a deeper understanding of who he is as a character, his drives, ambitions, and even why he was deceived in the first place. To delve more into Jax's character, I went over the script highlighting key adjectives that help us understand his internal struggles and the reason he was distraught about Yolanda's passing. Doubtful, worried, and contained were the main words I lifted from the script, this allowing me to get a better understanding of Jax's emotional state and how Yolanda's death affected him. These themes that are prevalent within the story are love, grief, anger, regret, and despair. These themes help me structure my edit. As these themes mainly relate to Jax's feelings and emotions towards Yolanda, I've chosen to mainly use close-ups with longer takes, allowing the audience to connect more with the character and really understand what Jax is going through with the loss of his lover. As Jax becomes weaker throughout the story and penultimately loses all his power, in the edit to show this, I've used a change in rhythm, this juxtaposing to introduce a different state of mind of the character, being more melancholy as depressed as he comes to understand that she didn't love him as much as he loved her. I've also used rhythm of the edit as a metaphor to Jax's emotional state, both changing towards the end of the film. A key theorist that helped influence my editing decision is Walter Murch and his Rule of 6 model. This theory suggests that for the correct cut, you have to satisfy 6 different rules, these being emotion, story, rhythm, eye trace, 2D plane of screen, and 3D space. I applied this theory to the edit. For example, in the opening scene, as my flashback starts, the white has become brighter, allowing the audience to associate this with a flashback, and I overlay anecdotal memory that he's reflecting on while reading his monologue, this creating a sense of fantasy and allowing the audience to understand Jax's emotional state. Through this edit and the different aspects of the story, I've aimed to create a heightened realism film, as the events are grounded in reality but take on a dreamlike quality. For example, when the ghosts appear from out the grave, it backs up the point of not being a realist film. With a mix of close-ups and quick cuts, with the ghost in the grave, the yard, it shows the story as not being real, but instead in Jax's head, creating a different reality from the norm, but not compromising it. By using subtle juxtaposition, the shots of the ghosts editing their graves, followed by Jax looking up at them, gives the shots of a different meaning. This being all of Jax's interior fears are being shown, and even though it isn't real, Jax cannot control it. Another example as heightened realism is when we see Jax imagining Yolanda in the mirror. This is used for the build-up of the final scene. I use it to make the audience feel uneasy and to show Jax's grief start to take control. With the use of my opening shot, I haven't given away too much information about Jax and his relationship, but through the juxtaposed flashbacks, I'm allowing the audience to make their own perception of Jax, but also leaving details in about his love and affection for Yolanda in the images. Throughout the edit, I've tried to reassure the point that Jax doesn't actually know why Yolanda has passed. Within this, showing the fact that he doesn't know what's going on as she died. Showing this by longer takes of Jax at Yolanda's grave, and penultimately showing him having a breakdown when finding what was written on Yolanda's grave. Through the use of the medium close-up, it also makes you want to feel sorry for him, as it's one of the first times you really see him emotional and vulnerable. Throughout this edit, there is a build in tension. Firstly, through the longer takes of the gravedigger talking to Jax and his estranged body language, hinting that something is not quite right within the character, but also by giving him the power, it shows Jax in a weaker and vulnerable position. Within the same scene, with the use of longer takes, we see Jax having to process the gravedigger's comments and being wary of what's about to happen and what he is going to reply, as he knows something is not quite right about him. Then again, within the ending shots, as I cut from Jax kneeling down to the gravedigger, then back to Jax, showing that he knows he shouldn't be there and is warned about something going on as he hastily leaves. Overall, I feel like I've created a strong edit with the use of Walter Murch's Rule of 6. It has guided me to make the correct cuts on emotion and story, but it has also allowed me to capture Jax's deeper emotions, being the internal struggle with his passing of his wife.